Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss what are the components required for anyone to be a good speaker. You would have seen there are so many orators in the world, but have they all always been, good at communicating, confident, proper body language? No, it's not true. Today we will be seeing 3 components that make anyone a good speaker. And a good speaker is someone to which people listen. That is the first and the foremost thing that matters the most. We will also see in this video how some people who had really bad communication skills and they were failing in their career also became orators and great leaders. And we'll also see about a person who was always bent, who couldn't stand properly, who was diseased. Just imagine what kind of a body language would that person have, but he still was a speaker to which everyone listened to quietly. We have English speaking and public speaking batches starting every month. This month we are starting on 21st November. Please register and then we can help you with whatever things you have. It's not always that anxiety is because stage fear. It is usually because something cropping up from the past. Maybe someone mocked you, maybe your parents told you're not good enough, or maybe someone told you you're not having good grammar, or maybe you overthink and feel these things. So please join and get steered off all the doubts from your mind. So there are 3 principles basically. The first one is ethos. Ethos is all about either you having credibility or you being a good speaker. Now, what does having credibility mean? If you are someone who has achieved something in life, people are most certainly going to listen to you. You need not be a good speaker, speaking with enthusiasm, with interest or anything. Even if you are speaking in a flat tone, in broken English, people will still listen to you. That is about your credibility, where you have done something significant in your life. So I'll give you an example. You can go and check out that video. It is Magic Moments with Yuvraj Singh. So I had the habit of listening to biographies while walking, and I was listening to his talk. I thought he's Punjabi, he has achieved so much, he will speak with so much enthusiasm. But when I played that video, he was speaking in such a flat tone that if he was not Yuvraj Singh, I would have not listened to him. But I knew that yes, this person has achieved something in his life. That is why I knew I will definitely learn something. So this is credibility. Second thing is you being a very attractive, enthusiastic speaker. So when I came across Shifuji, it was first of all a very short clip that someone had uploaded in their status. But when I listened to him, मेरे सच में रोंगटे खड़े हो गए थे, and I went and checked who this person is. Now this is an efficient speaker, and even listening to those efficient speaker makes you a better speaker. So you can go for some videos of Shifuji only, or you can go for Airtel Achievers Navjot Singh Sidhu, who is such a good speaker, and even listening to him will make you a better speaker. And why does listening to someone matter so much? If you look carefully, as a child, why does a child learn a particular language? A person who is born in Tamil household, how does he learn Tamil? No one is teaching him. He is listening it through his auditory learnings, and he is getting efficient at that language. So whatever you are listening to, it gets stored in your mind, it becomes a memory and it comes out of your mouth. So the second thing is about being a good speaker. If you speak with enthusiasm, if you speak with all the energy that you have, people are definitely going to listen to you. The second thing is logos, that is logic or knowledge. Now knowledge is not current affairs knowledge. It's not something that you stand somewhere and start reading a newspaper. No, it is about how you portray your knowledge, which is again very efficient in organizing a speech, which we will be listening to sometime later. So for logos, I'll give you an example of Ashtavakra. Ashtavakra was a sage who was cursed by his father, and he was deformed from 8 places. He couldn't stand properly, his whole body was having wounds and pus will be seeping out. Just imagine he being a very efficient speaker. So the story goes like this, that there was a sage who once adopted a child, a girl child named Sujata, and he took her to his Gurukul. He taught her, later he wanted her to be married. So he thought if any of his students in the Gurukul marry that girl, he can make that student the principal and the daughter will not have to go anywhere. Now I don't remember the name of the husband of Sujata, but one student liked her, they got married. Now Sujata was pregnant, and when her Garbh Sanskar was going on, she thought that if he goes and listens to her husband's classes, the Vedas and all, the child will be born very good with all the good sanskars. So she used to sit, but her husband was not very efficient. He was a greedy and a little less knowledgeable man. He used to teach in wrong pronunciation. So she got scared that if her husband is going to say like that, the born child will have bad knowledge and he'll be a bad person. So she used to correct him. And he got so offended and insulted that he cursed her that the child will be born of 8 deformities, he'll be like this, he'll be like that. So at that time, all this was happening in the area of King Janak, Sita's father. Now King Janak's council had another sage who was so proud of himself that he used to organize many shastrat or debate on truth and knowledge, and whoever used to be defeated by him, he had to drown himself to death. And if anybody won, they will be given a lot of money and maybe a prominent position in that king's council. So her husband, he got infatuated by this all money and all, so he went there, he lost, he drowned himself to death and died. Now when Ashtavakra, he was born, he grew up, he came to know this, he thought that no matter what, it was his father, he should be doing something about it. So he went to the council, and as soon as he entered the council, everyone started laughing at him. He didn't say anything, he just listened to everyone, kept on walking, went quietly, sat onto his seat. After everyone was done laughing, he started laughing very loudly. So looking at him, people started thinking he's deformed, maybe he's some maniac also. So the king asked him, why are you laughing? To which he replied that these all people claim to be learned Brahmins, but I feel they are low class, unknowledgeable chamars. Like chamar at that time was someone belonging to low caste and dealing in leather work. And that time the caste thing was so much that people got so much offended by him. So the king asked, why do you say so? He said that these people claim to know God, they are sitting here debating about God, but they are judging the God who has made me and they are caring about my skin. This is something that leather workers do, not educated people. So everyone felt ashamed and they all went quiet. When Ashtavakra spoke later on, everybody listened to him. See, this was not his knowledge. Everybody had that knowledge. It is the conviction with which he presented his knowledge and the way he said it. So that made him a good speaker. His knowledge, not anything else, not his body language, nothing. His conviction in self, his faith in self. Okay? And the third case is ethos. This is the most crucial component of any speech. And this refers to emotional appeal. Now some of you might be knowing that Mahatma Gandhi was not a good lawyer because he was having bad communication skills. Then why do you think so many people joined him? Was it his ahimsa policy or what else? There were so many sages promulgating ahimsa, nobody joined. Then why did people join Mahatma Gandhi? That was because of emotional appeal. That is, it is something like, suppose we are a group of 10 people, our teacher comes and beats us every day and we don't say anything but we feel bad inside. Now one day when 11th person comes and says you are doing wrong. All of us have felt that pain, so we will say yes, you have done wrong. But imagine only if he was getting beaten and we don't like him, we will not care. So it was not only the way he spoke or what he spoke or what he believed in, but a particular emotion that he got caught off. So this is emotional appeal and this matters a lot. I'll give you an example why. Suppose you have to give a lecturate or speech on Napoleon Bonaparte and you start with he was one of the greatest military generals, he won this, he lost this. So what will happen? The people might or might not be willing to listen to you. But if you take some incidents from his life, like he was just 5 feet tall and he was often bullied for that, and he was also poor but he cleared the French military academy thing. So if you start with his being small, if you say something like this, that today I am going to speak about someone who was just 5 feet tall and was constantly bullied for it, but he decided to stand up and make all these tall people look to him when he becomes one of the greatest military generals in the world. Now what happens, all the people would have felt something related to that. Everyone wants to do something more or wants to fight back some bullying or whatever is there inside them. So people will automatically be connected to you. Emotional appeal, that is why, is most important. And it is not that कि आप इंडो-पाक relations, एशियान, ये सब में emotional appeal नहीं डाल सकते हो. You can always put those things there. For example, when Indo-Pak relations come, you can introduce it in multiple ways. You can start with, today I am going to speak about two countries who once fought together to get independence, but the scenario today is such that there is not even a single military exercise between them. Now this is also something which will make some sort of emotional appeal in people. Or you can start with saying that there is a book by Group Captain Ranveer Singh, Major Defense Operations. In that book, he says that anything which is started once, unless and until it is taken to its final consequence, it's not over. And that is so true. India and Pakistan, no matter what policies we use, until a final conclusion is there is no stop. So you can start with something like this also, comparing to someone's life incident. Then about China, you can use things like, we all had been saying Hindi chini bhai bhai, but just like a greedy brother who wants all of your land and backstabs you, it has been doing something like this to us. For ASEAN and other topics, you can start a group of friends who stand by each other and go on together, work together. You can try out these things while giving your speech, so that people get connected to you. And when people are connected to you, you will have seen, your friends will never say that, oh, you are so low, you are this, you are that, even if you are someone like that. So if people have got connected to you, they will listen to whatever you want to say. So work on these things. It's not necessary that you need to have every quality. Even one will work fine, but until you have time, you can work on each and every quality and be better. Thank you.